Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Today we are going to learn about subtopic 5.3 Solid. There are 5 learning outcomes for this subtopic. At the end of this subtopic, you should be able to explain the fixed shape of a solid. Next, explain the process of freezing, melting, sublimation and deposition. The third one, you should be able to differentiate between amorphous and crystalline solids. Next, state the type of crystalline solids with appropriate example, which is metallic, ionic, molecular covalent, and giant covalent. Lastly, you should be able to compare the properties of solid with liquid and gas. Properties of solid. There are 5 properties of solid. The first one is the particles are arranged closely together. So, the particles can only vibrate and rotate about fixed position. And they have a rigid arrangement, which is they cannot move freely, as you can see in this animation.
Solid, the particles are closely packed in an ordered arrangement. In a liquid, the particles are loosely arranged but still close together. In a gas, the particles are not arranged in any particular way.
The second property is solid has a definite shape and volume. Next, they also has a strong forces between the particles and high densities, and they are incompressible. In principle, solid, liquid and gas states are interconvertible. So everyone, these are the process of changes between solid, liquid and the gas. Process number 1. Freezing, or also known as solidification. This process occurs when the liquid changes to a solid. For example, we have a water in a liquid phase, then it becomes a water in a solid phase. When the liquid is cool or the temperature is lowered, the particles lose kinetic energy and move slowly. At this point, intermolecular forces become stronger and the particles become fixed in a position. So now, the liquid freeze becomes a solid. So, this is a figure of molecular arrangement when liquid becomes a solid. For your viewing, this is a video for the freezing process. The next process is melting or fusion. This melting process occurs when solid changes to liquid. For example, we have a water in solid phase, then it becomes water in liquid phase. When a solid substance is heated, the particle gain kinetic energy and vibrate faster. Then, at a certain temperature, the particles have enough kinetic energy to break free of their fixed position, and now the particles are free to move and the solid is changing into a liquid, as you can see in the movement of particles. As you can see in this figure. So now I will show you a video about the melting process. The third process is sublimation. Sublimation process is the process by which a substance goes directly from solid to gaseous state without passing through the liquid state. For example, we have carbon dioxide in a solid phase or dry ice, and then it becomes directly to a gas, carbon dioxide. This process occurs when the molecules on the surface possess enough kinetic energy to overcome the attractive forces and leave the solid phase as a vapor. So, this is a video for sublimation process for your reference. Final process is deposition. Deposition process is a process where molecules from vapor or gas state change to solid state without passing through a liquid phase. An example of deposition process is iodine gas become iodine solid. Actually, deposition process is opposite the sublimation process. So how this process occur, everyone? When we cool under certain condition, vapor molecules lose kinetic energy and the vapor molecules move slowly. So they can no longer overcome the attractive forces and the molecules arrange into a fixed position and become a solid. This is a figure of molecular arrangement when gas become a solid. Now, I will show you a video about deposition process. Type of solid are divided into two categories. The first one is crystalline solid. This is an example of crystalline solid. Another one is amorphous solid. This is an example of amorphous solid. This is a comparison table between crystalline solid and amorphous solid in terms of arrangement of particles, formation, physical properties, and some examples. Crystalline solids are divided into four categories. The first one is metallic solid, ionic solid, molecular covalent solid, and lastly, giant covalent solid. The first type of crystalline solid is metallic solid. Metallic solid consists of metal atoms that are closely packed structure and held together by a strong metallic bond. Their properties are from soft to hard and from low to very high melting point. Then, metallic solid also a good conductor of heat and electricity, and they have a malleable and ductile properties. Example of metallic solid is sodium, zinc, iron, and so on. Next, ionic solid. Ionic solid made up of ions, which is cations and anions, that held together by a strong electrostatic attraction. They are hard, brittle, and have a high melting point. They are also a poor conductor of heat and electricity in a solid state, but they are a good conductor in a molten or in an aqueous state because they have a free moving ions. Example of ionic solid is sodium chloride. Molecular covalent or molecular solid. Molecular solid composed of molecules that held together by intermolecular forces, which is van der Waals forces or hydrogen bonds. Their properties are fairly soft, low to moderate melting point, and also poor conductor of heat and electricity. Example of molecular solid is phosphorus, sulfur, ice, dry ice, and iodine. The last crystalline solid is giant covalent solid, also called network covalent solid. This giant covalent solid composed of atoms that are linked together by strong covalent bond and forms a network. Their properties is very hot and very high melting point, but usually they are poor conductor of heat and electricity. Example of giant covalent solid is diamond, quartz, and graphite. Everyone, that's all for subtopic 5.3 solid.